Give an equation for the vertical asymptotes of 1 over secant x minus pi over 2 in parentheses. Vertical asymptotes exist when the denominator of a function is equal to 0. Now, I know what secant is. Secant is the same exact thing, and I can rewrite this out as this. Secant is the exact same thing as, in this case, 1 over 2 cosine x minus half over 2. So I care about when the denominator is equal to 0. When a denominator is equal to 0, that gives me the vertical asymptotes. So I'm going to take this equation here in red, and I'm going to solve it for x. Dividing both sides by 2 gets rid of the 2 in front of cosine, which does absolutely nothing to that 0 right there. It is still 0, which makes sense because this implies amplitude, and amplitude has no effect on where vertical asymptotes are. Let's leave some space. Why? Because my next step is to inverse cos both sides. Boy, I left the space on the wrong side. Inverse cos both sides, like this. Now, what this does is I now have two guys that I have to deal with, because if I'm dealing with 1 over secant, and here I don't have two guys. I basically am just, I'm dealing with all possible answers. So if I'm thinking, unit circle thoughts, okay, if I'm thinking unit circle thoughts, I know that the inverse cosine of 0 means I care about when an x value is 0. And an x value is 0 exists at 2 spots when I'm dealing with the unit circle, okay? Here, not here, but here and here. And those 2 spots, as far as radians go, are going to be pi over 2 and 3 pi over 2. So this cancels out. X minus pi over 2 is going to equal the inverse cosine of 0, which is pi over 2. And also, x minus pi over 2 equals 3 pi over 2, like so. If I add pi over 2 to both sides, that gets me just a pi. And if I add pi over 2 to both sides, that gets me 2 pi. Now, this is going to be, my vertical asymptotes are going to repeat. And to make life easier, usually what I would do is I would add plus 2k pi to both of these. But wait a minute, I don't need to do that, because if I'm going to have pi and 2 pi, that would imply 3 pi and then 4 pi and stuff like that. So basically it's all the pi's. So my final answer is, if my answer is going to be pi, 2 pi, 3 pi, 4 pi, 5 pi, 6 pi, it's going to be x equals k pi, where k is an integer. Okay, so there you have it.